Well, good morning, and thank you very much for coming back. Those people who are here for the first time, thank you for joining and seeing what I'm doing this morning, coming along to do some maths. And those people who come back, well, I haven't driven you away with my terrible jokes, so I'm chuffed to bits. It's obviously a very difficult time at the moment. It is a time in our lives where we're having to make do and having to do some things we wouldn't normally do. So I'm just trying to give a bit of normality, a little bit of maths in the mornings, and hopefully we're going to learn something, we're going to have some fun possibly, and if you can tolerate my terrible jokes, that's even better. Now, I wanted to apologise about my beard. I've noticed it's getting a bit long. I was going to shave, but I ran a bit short of time. But you know what? I think it's growing on me. I'll just let that sink in for a second. Okay, just wanted to start off with let's just move into here. So, yesterday, this is the work of Zander, who took my challenge about finding the next perfect number, and he started to make these triangles. And you can see, he first of all was drawing all the circles and working out that the next one, after 6, there would be 10 and 15 and 21, all the triangle numbers. And then he he spotted something. He spotted that each one just added one more number. So at the bottom here, it had, this one added 8, 9, 10, 11. So he just started adding on the next number. He went all the way up to 703. So that's amazing. Zander, thank you very much for your contribution. I'd love to see your photograph. That's why I've got Twitter. That's why we got a Facebook page called the School of Mr. Harris, so that your parents can show photos. It doesn't have to be of you and your faces. I would fully understand if they don't want your faces on Facebook, but they can have pictures of the work you've done with the School of Maths, and I'll happily share them. I wanted to also do a little bit of a hello. I can't do a register, and that's my favourite part of lessons, doing the register. But yesterday we had Zander, Sophie, Lily, Jack, Kaya, Ezekiel, Leela, Andrew, Oscar, Toby, Olivia, Lily, Delaney, Annabelle, Lucas, and plenty more people with us. And I wanted to say hello. And if you're here again today, that's fantastic. I haven't done it again. No, hopefully you can hear me. If there's any problems with it, I've just noticed someone saying they can't hear me. If there's any problems with sound, please do let me know. I'm hoping you can all hear everything I'm saying. So we will check that out as we carry on. Brilliant. Some people can hear me, so that's fine. I suddenly had a panic. And because I'm only new to this live streaming, I've got to make sure it's all working. Hopefully people can work out, maybe it's their speakers, maybe they just need to change a setting on their computer. Right. So, cuboids. We're going to talk about cuboids today. So, I've also, under instructions from my little sister, Roxy was watching yesterday and she told me off because I said so too many times. So, if you spot me saying so, then please do have a go at me in the comments and try and help me out, because I do say it way too much. So this is what we're talking about today. A cuboid. I've just done it again. I've just spotted myself saying so. This is what we're talking about today, a cuboid. You've possibly seen these before. For year 3s and 4s, a cuboid is a shape where it's rectangle face, it's a 3D shape, and it then has all of these faces. These are called faces. There's one on this side, and one on the back, one on the end, and one on the other end, and then it has a top and a bottom. So a cuboid will have 6 faces. I want you to remember that for later, because in our challenge today, it's got 2 parts to it, and one of them is going to involve faces. It also has these lines down the edges. These are called edges. So this cuboid here has 1 edge, 2 edge, 3, 4 at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, like structures or supports holding it up, and then 4 around the bottom. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we've got 4 and 4 and 4 more, hopefully you've all worked out that means there must be 12 sides. Okay, now 12 edges, sorry. Finally, we've got these points on the corner. These points have a special name. They're called vertices. And you can see that where it says faces and vertices. Vertices, I think it probably came about when someone first saw a cuboid. They'd only had cubes before, and they lived in a world where it was just cubes. Maybe thousands of years ago, they just had cubes. And then one person discovered one of these and went and looked at the corners and said, vertices, vertices, vertices. And someone overheard them and thought that's what they were called. I don't know, but they're called vertices, and we can count those as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 at this end. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a cuboid will have 8 vertices. So you'll be able to know lots of different shapes that are cuboids, and I know I've got some year 6s and year 5s in here, and I don't want to talk down to people. I've got all sorts of age groups. I'm sure there's some year 2s and year 1s on here who are very, very good at math and are hopefully following along. Please do ask any questions. If you've got any questions in the chat, then I will let you know. Okay, so let's switch just quickly to full screen so you can see me a bit better. So on here, we've got our vertices in the corners, our faces at either end, front, back, top and underneath, and we've got our edges along the sides. Now what we're going to be doing today is 2 different things. We're going to make our own cuboid, and I'd love to see people's pictures of the cuboid they make decorated, and so hopefully some of you found, I left on the Facebook group, if you are on the Facebook group, I left a net you could download. I hope it's also in the comments below this video. There's a link to that, so if you've got a printer and you're able to print it out, you can print out that net. But it doesn't matter if you can't. Hopefully you all got some paper and a pencil, and we're going to quickly make our own. Now a net is like an unfolded version of a shape. A cuboid opens up into 6 faces. We've already talked about them. Now I think an easy way to do that is to draw on our bit of paper. We're going to draw some, using our ruler, we're going to go straight down and straight down, and I'm going to start off, I'm going to leave off the sides, so if anyone hasn't got a net, remember you can pause the video at any time. If you need paper, if you need a pencil, if you need some scissors, you can always pause the video. Now the one thing about the net, because it's a rectangle, I want it to have equal rectangles coming down my page. So I need a number that divides by 4. Now most of you will know your 4 times table, but unfortunately on my page it's 26 centimetres. So I'm going to have to do 26 divided by 4, which is not in the 4 times table. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 28 divided by 4 is 7. So we must need 6.5. So I'm going to measure 6.5 on each of my sides. And that will give me 13 and 19.5. And you can see what I've done is I've made little notches along the sides, and I'm just going to make these into rectangles. Now, the last thing we need to do is turn it into a cuboid. Now, I've deliberately made it in the nets that I gave you at home, so that when you fold it, it leaves a little slot, so you can make like a money box or something. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do this right to the edge. I will show it in a second, I promise you. Right to the edge of the page, and right to the edge of the page. And you should have in front of you that you can start to cut out. Remember, you can pause it if it's going too fast. You can just here. I apologise there's no link. I will try and sort out that while people are cutting it out. So, if you want to cut out your rectangles around the outside, don't cut down these lines here. Don't cut those lines. We're going to go round the outside. Okay? And that will allow you to make a cuboid. Now, some of year 6s and 5s, I know you'll have done this before. There is more to this. I'm gonna make it a bit more challenging for you. Just get your cuboid cut out. Now, this one and this one won't quite. When you get it all out, we're going to fold it up. So let me just see if I can get that link posted. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to do my best. So, stop saying so. Hopefully you're all drawing out your net and cutting it out right now. I'm being as fast as I possibly can to get this link shared for you, because I know some people want to join in. And remember, you can pause at any time and you'll be able to cut out things, print them off, and then join back in again. So here we go. Shareable link in the chat right now. I'm about to post that link. Should allow people to open up a picture of a net. And sorry for the delay. I'm just trying to make it obviously that everyone has the opportunity to work with that. So here we go. You've got your net. You're going to cut that out, being very careful with the scissors, or asking your parents to use them if you haven't got safety scissors. And what we should end up with, don't worry, those people who are a little bit more advanced, there are other challenges that I've got coming up later in the next 5 to 10 minutes. But I have to, it's very difficult doing this for, excuse me, very difficult doing this for years 3 up to 6, because we have a real range of abilities. I'm sure there's some year 1s and 2s in here as well, and maybe the odd year 7 and 8. So I'm just trying to make it so there's something for everyone, and we'll all learn something. Hopefully, if you didn't know the names vertices, faces, and edges, that's something that you've picked up. If not, then maybe have a think. What other 3D shapes could have nets? Maybe if you're a year 6 and you're quite comfortable with a cuboid net, maybe try and draw yourself a net from scratch for a pyramid or a more complicated shape. I'd love to see some photos of people who've managed to do hexagonal prisms. That would be just like this, but with a hexagon, a 6-sided shape at the top, and it would have to so you'd have to work out what the net would look like for that. That would be awesome to see. Okay, so that's what I've ended up with. You can then fold it up along the lines as neatly as you can. And we should get a shape that looks a bit like a cuboid, because we've got the 6 faces, and I'm going to fold it up there. You guys at home would be able to do various different things, and I've left a little bit of a bit shorter at the bottom so that you can stick it together at the bottom like this, stick the sides together, and you can have a little flap so you can post things in the thing, so you could use it as a little money box, but you can tie it up with string. You can put sellotape in it, you can decorate it. So that is your little cuboid. My one doesn't quite reach the top, but we've got our cuboid. So, my first part of today's challenge, with all you clever clogs, year 4, 5, 6, 7, and 6s, maybe even some year 2s and 3s, can you show me a picture, either on Twitter, which I will just briefly return to the page on here. There's the Twitter down here, or the Facebook, or just email me. Could you show me a picture of a cuboid you've made with 7 faces? Now, I was very clear how faces work earlier, so think very carefully about my question. That's my first part of today's challenge. Can you send me a picture of a cuboid with 7 faces? So that's the first part of the challenge. I'll have just a quick look in the chat. Okay. Hi, Sakina. Hey, Rashan. There will be streams for higher levels later on. All the streams are separated out. So if anyone's come here looking for the other streams, it's not one long stream today. It's going to be, this is the primary stream, and for 3 to 6, and then all the others are in other different things. Right, so hopefully we're getting some way. Remember, if you haven't finished your cuboid and you want to finish it first, pause the video. That's absolutely fine. You can then resume and see what we're going to do next. Okay, I've also got my bricks, and I've got a little bit of a puzzle for you. Now, here is a very small cuboid. It has 3 bricks in it. So if I wanted to know what the surface area of this cuboid was, I could just count how many squares around the outside. Now, I don't know if you can see on here. I probably need to go back to being big again. So here you can see there's each side has got a square there. Ignore the circles for a second. There's a square, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then one on the front, 13, and one on there, 14. So let's just note that down for a second. So, stop saying so. Here we go. We just worked out that my cube here that has 3 cubes in it, and it had 14 squares. The next one with 4 cubes, what we do is we take one of these, add it on the end, we count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's got 16 plus the ends, 17, 18. So we're going to write down that again. 4 cubes gives us 18 squares. It's very different. I'm still getting used to looking at the camera, aren't I? So I want to know, well, how many would 10 have? How many cubes would how many squares would 10 have? If I wanted to draw a shape that had 10 cubes, how many would there be? Now you can do this with Legos, you can do this with building blocks, you can try and count them, or you can try and imagine. If you're like Xander yesterday, maybe you'll draw them out. Maybe you'll work out what 5 would have, and 6 would have, and work it all out like a pattern. So I'm interested in to know, can anyone work out how many squares there would be in the surface area? Now they call it the surface area because each one of these is a face or a surface. Surface. Sur is French for on. So surface means on the face. Surface here. And the area is the region we're doing. So imagine we're trying to paint it. How many squares would we have to paint? Now my next thing for you clever clogs in the higher years who've already raced ahead of me, because I'm still learning. I'm a secondary school teacher. I've got some teaching experience of primary, but I'm still improving my skills, hopefully. This one is like the first one, which was a 3 cube one, but this one's a 3 cubes with a height of 2. So when I do this one, so I'll change the colour for these ones. This one, 3 cubes. We're going to do 4 cubes because I think you can probably predict my question. I'm probably holding this right in my face. Then 10 cubes is going to be my question. But let's work on 3 first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus 6 on the front and 6 on the back. 10 and 6 is 16. Add another 6 is 22. So we need 22 squares here. What about the 4? Well, we get 2 more, which I've got just here. Add them on. And we've got some more. So we're going to add again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Add the 8 on the front is 20. Add the 8 on the back is 28. So my question again to all you wonderful people, how many squares would there be if I had 10 cubes long? So there's 2 questions for you to write down. Pause the video and then you can work out what you think and work it out. Now we're going to keep going, and hopefully we're going to be exploring and making sure that everyone's getting on really well. So just a little pause. Okay, back to these nets. Did you all finish them? What you can do, if you colour in the outsides with different designs, you can then, if you colour in the outsides of this net, you can make quite an interesting design. You could do different designs on each side. You could do one design. I'm interested to see what people come up with. Remember that puzzle thing I've asked about already today? Second of all, we've got these puzzles. How many, if I've got 3 cubes and 3 cubes and then 4 cubes, how many faces would 10 have? What about if it's a doubler? Who can explore it even further? What about if I make it 3 wide? Well, how many will 3 have then? How many will 4 have then? How many would 10 have then? You need to try and work this out in your head, imagining it, working out what these would all have. It's something for you to explore. Now, thank you very much. I'm not quite finished yet, but I don't want these lessons to be too long. I want you to go off and do things and share them with me afterwards. So we've still got some time left, but I want to give you things you can be doing. So I've given you a challenge. I've given you those 2 puzzles. I want to also remind you about Cuboid Maths. So if you go to Cuboid Maths and type in 5 a day on Cuboid Maths, there's a primary 5 a day. Now what I'd like to do tomorrow is I would like to start the session tomorrow, and tomorrow's session we are covering special numbers, and we're going to do all sorts of stuff on different types of special numbers, some history, but I'll try and make it interesting if I can. We're going to do all sorts of things on special numbers. And I'm also going to ask you to try and do the primary, should we go with the primary silver 5 a day? I'm going to go through that with any questions. But I've also been having some wonderful questions from some parents and from some students who want me to go through certain things. Please use the chat now. If you use the chat here, and I'll just glance over to it in a second, and you'll see the side of my face. If you use the chat and say what topics you'd like me to go through, I'm happy to explain anything. I know they've already requested some fractions at on Friday. Don't be scared of the word fractions. I will do my best to make it make sense in an interesting and imaginative way. But I need to know from you. I've started deliberately quite simple and easy because I didn't want people to look at it the first time and go, this is too hard for me, I'm scared. It's okay to be scared of maths. It's okay to love it. I hope some of you, by the end of watching some of these videos, will love it as much as I do. But it's okay if you find it hard. And what we do is we're going to do a little bit each day to practice. Now, talking of practice, yesterday's session was all about the 6 times table. I don't know if any of you have gone away and played the game. I've had the game here. First question for anyone who was here yesterday. Does anyone remember why there was a little shape in the corner of that picture? Second of all, who's been practicing it backwards? Have any of you played the game backwards? Because I think playing the game backwards improves your speed even more. So for example, you've got, if I give you 72, how many 6s is that? Work it backwards. This can apply not just to your times table. If you've got any times tables that are weak, this is a game you can make and play. Watch the stream yesterday. It might have to hunt around for it, but you can find the primary lesson. But I wanted to refer back to that because we talked about the 6 times table. And we talked about 6 being a perfect number. It's a perfect number because its factors are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll ignore the 6 because it is 6. 1 add 2 add 3 is 6. Well done to anyone who found out that the next one is 24. Let me just explain why the next one is 24. If I can just go back to here. So we'll just start a new page. If we look at 24, the numbers that make 24 are 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. So, I've made a mistake, haven't I? It's because if we add 1, add 2, add 3, add 4, add 6, add 8, add 12, that doesn't work. How can he have made that mistake? Well, 16 and 36. Sometimes it's okay to make mistakes. I've accidentally misremembered what the next number was, but it's okay. Hopefully some people were still searching, and I'm a little bit embarrassed, but it's not too bad. The next one is 28. Mr. Harris, what a silly man. I got so stressed and worried about doing my live stream, I've messed it up. But it's okay. We'll go again and we'll show you why it's 28. We've got 28. We have 1 times 28, which we're going to ignore. 2 times 14. 4 times 7. 1, add 2, add 4, add 7, add 14 equals 28. Well done everyone who found that. Please, when I give you these challenges, do send emails or get mum or dad to send a tweet to me or an email, or go on the Facebook group. If we're on the Facebook group, I'll put resources there for you to download. I did put the resources here for today for the nets. Thank you so much for all those people who've been joining in and asking for things. I will try and make the stream better and better every day. I am going to try and learn some skills to make it more interesting. I'm trying to learn some things to make things appear on the screen. I'm trying to learn things, but with me streaming 5 times a day to try and give you math lessons, it's a slow process. As you can see, this is my classroom at the moment, and I'm trying to improve it. I'm going to try and get some more resources in for you to make it more interesting. I'm going to try and make it more colourful. I'm going to raid my wife's drawer of pipe cleaners and things like that to make for some interesting tasks. But I want your feedback. What do you like about the lessons? I'll try and make them more enjoyable. I'll try and make them more fun. And I guess the last thing to do is to tell you about a channel I was watching on YouTube. Because I've been off a little bit, I've been watching some channels on YouTube. And I found this channel where you could watch videos of clocks doing silly things. It was called TikTok. I think that's enough for now. Thank you very much for those people who've joined me. Please do send feedback. Please do send resources. I'd love to see pictures of you doing your work. You've got these challenges. Let's have a quick reminder of the challenges that I've set you today. So going back to the thing, I will try and stop saying so. I'm sure I'll get feedback saying I was saying it too many times again. The challenge I set you today was, what would be the number of squares on a 10 cube if we have a long thin shape like this and we carry it on? And what about if we have a 2 one? What would be the number of faces? And can you spot any patterns? I'd love to see you working out. I'd love to see your answers, and we'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm doing my best to try and make it as interesting and as interactive as possible. Tomorrow is all about special numbers, and I'll be continuing to try and make it even better every day. Thank you very much.